I haven't done a speak them in a while, and the other day I was having a personal conversation with Mike from Laughing Stock Media, and we were talking about fear. And somebody said this to me. I don't remember who it was or when I heard it, but I wanted to make this video to kind of talk to y'all about kind of being afraid of things and how to overcome your fears. And I've talked about stuff similar to this in the past, like overcoming rejection and disappointment and whatnot in the old speakdoms. But to me, I want to really talk about kind of the myth of what fear actually is. Now, one thing about fear is that everybody's afraid of something, right? We as human beings, if you're going to sit there and tell me you ain't afraid of nothing, that's BS. You're afraid of something, whether it be going broke, losing your parents, losing yourself, dying, fear of, being rejected by a girl, getting fired. Everybody has a fear of something, right? And it's interesting because, and I'll tell you what my fear is. I mean, I'm not afraid to share with you guys my fear, but it's interesting because the thing about fear, and one thing I want to hammer down is that every human being is afraid of something, has some kind of fear for something, because we need to have fear in order to survive. Every person on earth, regardless of your race, ethnicity, gender, creed, or nationality, you have an instinctual desire to survive, to live your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't live your life. And it's interesting because we all have a need to survive under the best possible conditions. In other words, we want to have a nice house, a nice bed, nice car, a nice job, and just kind of live comfortably, or at least eliminate as much negativity as possible and live as comfortably as possible. And if you want to look more into this, you got to look at the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, because that really breaks it down. But so the point is, everyone's afraid of something, right? But one thing I've noticed about the world that I think is interesting, and I think is really something I want y'all to think about, is, have you noticed that 95% of the time when you're afraid of something, usually it's just all in your head? Like, think about it. Like it's crazy. Like, okay, my fear, and I'm gonna share this with you guys. I don't care. Is that I don't want to end up homeless, because at one time in my life I was homeless. In 2009, I lost everything. I hit rock bottom, and I was literally living in a roach-infested karate studio. Right, and I'm telling you this because I'm hoping that somebody out there will be inspired by this story. And I had to literally crawl my way back up from nothing. I lost everything. I lost my furniture that I had in my apartment at the time. I lost, my home itself. I lost just everything I had was put into storage, and I had to basically live for about 3 months with nothing but just me and no money. I had no job. I lost it all. And that actually screwed with my head. Like, it literally screwed with my head, because ever since then I've been so determined and driven to work as hard as I can to not lose that and to not go back to being homeless, that I had become almost like paranoid. But in a weird way, it's kind of given me some pretty good skills. For example, I think I'm a hard worker. I feel like I always work hard. And some of my YouTube partners over on Geekdom 101 always ask me, how come people quit YouTube and you don't? That's because I can't. What keeps me going is that I don't want to end up broke or homeless. Like, I don't want to end up broke again. Because when you go broke and you lose everything, it fucks with you, right? And that's what motivates me. That's really what motivates me to survive. Now, I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, because actually, in some ways, yes, it is a good thing, because I've learned not just to be to work hard, but I've also learned how to be careful with my money. Because now, when I was younger, dude, I'm gonna be very blunt with y'all. I used to spend a lot of money on stupid shit. I would blow money on video games. I used to take girls out on dates and blow like 50, 60, 70 bucks the first date, which I never recommend doing, dude. Do not do that. Get to know her a little bit first before you're willing to make that kind of commitment. I used to just be an idiot when it comes to this. And when I went homeless, I kind of learned the true value of money. And that has, I think, been a good skill for me, because now I can save my money properly, invest it properly, and be a little more cautious with it. And I think all of us, when we were young, in our 20s, and sometimes in our late teens, we blow our money on dumb shit. I still do it once in a while, but this, me going homeless really change my life. So that's become my fear. That's what drives me, and that's kind of what fear is, right? You need fear. You need to use fear as a motivating factor to accomplish what you need to accomplish. But when you really think about it, what is fear? Fear is just a defense mechanism, part of your body to keep you alive. But most of the time, the things that you are afraid of are unfounded. For example, I'll give you some examples. Sometimes, and I'm giving you examples from me and my friends and people who I know in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times things that we're afraid of is literally all in your head. For example, sometimes you go out and you get into a car and you're driving and you're taking a big trip, right? And you're taking a road trip and you're afraid of like running out of gas, or you're afraid of, having your car break down, which is why you put gas in it in the morning. That fear is what leads you to take precautions so it doesn't happen. So when you really think about it, the fear is kind of dumb, fear of failure, fear of rejection. Sometimes when you're at work, you get paranoid. Like sometimes, let's say you're working at a company and there are some changes made in upper management. People are afraid they're going to get fired. Like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. They changed the managers. When that is there's nothing most of the time, not all the time. Most of the time, there's nothing to that. It's just in your brain, and it's literally like infesting your brain like a virus. Same thing when it comes to asking a girl out or talking to a girl that you like. You create this, it's called toxic shame. You create this like level of fear where you're so afraid to go up to her and ask her out because you think you're ugly, you don't think that she likes you, she might have a boyfriend. None of that is true. None of that is necessarily true. It's all in your head. What if she does think you're cute? What if you do have chemistry? And what if she is single? Then you are literally talking yourself out of talking to her. Or I'll give you another example. Sometimes when it's late at night, maybe you hear a spooky noise in your house or something, right? And some people, not me, but some people are like, "Oh man, my house is haunted. There's a ghost in my house." And it's not fair to call them names, people who think that way, because it's not a fair thing to say. But most of the time, it's just, just gravity, or like, your desk creaking or your floors creaking. It doesn't mean there's a ghost in the house. Like, there's always something that we're afraid of that, is not even really there. It's all in your head. So what I want everybody to do is whatever it is you're afraid of, whatever your fear is, because the thing about me and my fear is that my fear of going broke is what drives me, but realistically speaking, I'm probably never going to go broke again. Why? Because my experience from going broke has prevented me from ever going broke again. Not to mention that in this point in my life, I've got degrees and certifications. I've got a pretty good YouTube channel going that's keeping me, keeping food on my plate. So I shouldn't even ever worry about going broke again. But I'm still going to, because it's actually traumatized me. It actually did. Same thing with, let's say you get into a car accident, right? And you have that fear of, I don't want to get in a car because I might get into an accident again, when the chances of that happening are slim to none. You know what I mean? They really are, because you're a much more careful driver from the lesson you learned from the previous accident. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the traumatic events in your life are going to hurt you, but they're also going to make you a better person sometimes. You see what I'm saying? So what I want you all to do is think about what it is you're afraid of right now. Whether it be you're afraid of rejection, afraid of asking for a promotion, afraid of talking to a chick, or if you're a girl talking to a guy, or if you're gay, whatever. Talking to somebody who you like, all right? Whatever you are. Or your fear of getting fired, or your fear of, oh my God, my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, whatever your fear is, whatever it is, think about whether or not it's actually real. Like, sit down and think, what are the real chances of this happening? Am I just afraid of, am I afraid of going on a plane that's going to crash? There's a very slim chance the plane's going to actually crash, dude. That's a very, very, very slim chance. You know what I mean? But if you're stuck in that toxic sort of environment where fear is consuming you, don't let it consume you. And I'm not saying to be an alpha or a tough guy or any of that stuff. I'm saying, sit down and think, is this a legitimate fear? And if so, how can I conquer it? And what do I have to do? What are the necessary steps I have to do? If you think if you're about to get into a fight with somebody, a fist fight, which hopefully none of you will do, you always have to remember that the other guy is a human just like you. We're just as fragile as anybody else is. Some of us are in better shape, but you get what I'm saying. So, really think about it. Think, what is stopping me from achieving what I want to achieve? And is it just fear? If you want to become an actor or a voice actor and you want to go to Texas or California to make it big, What's stopping you? Is it money? Okay, fair. Figure out a way to make the money. Whether it means working extra hours, getting a second job, doing Uber, doing Lyft, whatever, right? And is it because you don't think you're a good actor? Well, hire an acting coach or go to acting class. You want to be a filmmaker, go to film school. You can't afford it? Well, think about how you can afford it. Maybe you can't go this year, maybe you can go next year, the year after. There's always a solution to every fear that you have, and I just want y'all to remember that and really think about what you're afraid of and then make the necessary steps to fix it. So I think I should put this video out because I want to help people out with this problem. And if you are feeling this way, just remember that you can overcome anything. And then remember that fear is there to protect you. It's there to protect you and make you better. Always remember that. It's there to protect you and make you better. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a great day.